bad music for this, or are we just gonna go? Oh, I guess we're going cold. Never mind.
We're just gonna go.
We're doing a
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're just going. It's the Loose Screws podcast. This is for 1st August 2024, episode
3310.
There you go. Episode 245, if my numbering is correct. And oh, that's so funny. So my dog right behind me just like sighed really loud, and I thought for sure it was like a cymbal crash because somebody just threatened me with sad music a moment ago. Okay. It wasn't that, but that's what my brain went.
Sorry.
I was like, oh my God.
Got a new sound effect, guys. Heard my dog.
So here today with me is Audaxius and Bloomingwind and Lark Shadow. Everybody say hi at the same time.
Hi at the same time.
Oh, two of you got it.
At the same time.
There we go. I'm gonna start this one a little differently because there's some nonsense, and it's been a real bummer, and I want to get it out of the way, and then we can come back and have like a proper episode afterwards. So this is to do with the BGS, and there's been some kerfuffles. Let's see. So I think I'm gonna say Bloomingwind, say your piece first, and then I'll follow up, kind of thing.
Sure.
Does that work? Okay.
That works perfectly. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So we had quite the event this week, and I think that we should just kind of talk about it from all the way into the beginning, but it's gonna be a very short version of it. So about 2 months ago, an individual representing a rival faction, or not even a rival faction. I mean, we have a long history of actually being friendly with them, but they've been kind of away from the game for a long time. Recently, probably about a year ago, one of their systems, their native system, fell into our control. We didn't do it; it just happened to fall into our control. And this individual, who has been kicked out of our Discord a couple of times because he's not someone who can behave himself. Anyway,
highly disruptive.
Highly disruptive person. Came in and said that he was representing his leadership, and he wants to know why we stole their Discord. We stole their station, or system. We stole their system. And so, he did this at 5 a.m. because he's in England, and we're in the United States. And so by the time we woke up, he left in a huff. And so we didn't really have anyone to talk to. And then, he was talking about us in a couple other factions' Discords, grumbling about things, talking very bellicose, and saying he wants to be friendly at the same time, which made no sense. And then he takes it to the BGS Discord, and in the BGS Discord, he alerts me that he wants to negotiate with us. And I said, basically, this was after they retook the system. So they came in, they retook the system about a couple of weeks ago, and surprisingly efficiently. I was kind of impressed. I was like, how does a faction of 2 or 3 people pull off something that efficient? But it turns out I'll get to that. So he calls me to, but we ended up relocking with them serendipitously as well. Again, I don't know how we relocked with them. We did. That's the truth.
Probably the same way it happened in the first time when they buzzed off to who knows where, because the system's not that stable and it moves around a lot. And that's what happens when nobody's maintaining it, which is the issue that's been going on for years with this particular guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, when he's talking to me in the disputes channel, and I kind of speak my piece, he's meanwhile also in their BGS for hire hiring mercenaries. And so I go over to the BGS for hire and say, you want to be friendly and you're hiring more mercenaries when you used mercenaries to take this in the first place? I don't think so. That is not cool. And at that point, this war began. And so when this war began, all these mercenaries were working to help this faction. And I said, so we then sent in all of our fleet carriers, all of our pilots, and we're like, we're going to fight back if we're being challenged. And it blew up.
Unfairly, this isn't us trying to, anyway, whatever. I'll get to my part.
Yeah. Yeah, and so anyway, so we're all fighting, and when this happened, before this happened, I told this individual in the Discord, "Hey, I want to talk to your boss. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm going to talk to your boss, and that's it." So as we're fighting, and as in Inara, the number of commanders in this system is going up exponentially. The number of fleet carriers is going up exponentially.
So fast. It was like the freaking scene from Avengers. On your left, Captain. Except we were Thanos.
Which is just hilarious that we were.
It really is. It was. I was like,
because I don't even know who you are. So people were streaming this war in Twitch. And people were calling for my head in Twitch, which was just absolutely delicious, by the way. But anyway, so when their leader was actually typing, and I learned this later, was typing in Discord to talk to me about terms of coming to a peace with this situation, we kicked him out of our Discord because of operational security. Nothing personal, just purely operational security. And everything just was going crazy, and we're like, we're not going to win this. We're just absolutely not going to win this. I mean, I go fly into a CZ, and a wing of 3 PvP Fertilances are bearing down on my Corvette, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm out of here. And we decided, at this point, this is stupid. We need to sue for peace. I tasked Lark Shadow to talk to their leader, because I don't know if their leader was pissed at me or not. So I was just like, you know what? Let's have somebody who's really a nice human being do the talking with them. And Lark, you take the baton and give the TLDR version of how you and this guy hugged it out, and then
to be clear about that too, like, the leader of this faction is not the person who has been a major disturbance and harassed many of our community members, frankly, for years. That person started a big war and hired mercenaries on behalf of their faction. The actual leader had nothing to do with it. And that's where the actual leader is a reasonable person and had no idea this was happening because they weren't really involved or paying attention at all.
So, quick aside leading up to me talking to Spoon. So leading up to this war, I had been doing deep dives and making freaking crazy person whiteboards in Paintbrush about everything that was going on with the ADI war, and it actually led to figuring out what was going on in 17102 before we finally figured out what was going on with ADI as well. And so we made peace with ADI. Literally the next day, this war kicks off. And at that point, there was just no dopamine left in my brain. And I'm like, effing really? And everyone's like, oh, let's fight and blah, 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 blah. That's how I heard it. And I moved my carrier in there as well and went in and was doing some fighting. Even met a nice PvPer guy who I trash talked a little bit because I was hangry. And I told him that and apologized after the fact, and he laughed. And it was like, Commander, if you knew what I've been called. He's a really nice guy. I would actually one-on-one him and lose badly anytime. He seems like a cool person. But I finally just started like, enough of this, because as soon as I, like Bloomingwind, when I was tracking it in Inara and seeing the commander numbers just spike and the carrier spike, and now it was like 2 or 3 different mercenary groups coming in, and we were thinking about hiring mercenary groups. At that point in my head, I was screaming, can everyone just stop shooting each other for 5 damn minutes? So I got a hold of their leader, who I asked for his side first, and then I gave our side with some great quips and information from both Bloomingwind and Trex as we were all talking about it in different channels. And we were able to make a peace treaty where, yes, they're getting their system back. We're, at least for now, going to stay in the system. They aren't going to retreat us. And in turn, we retain control of Nedos, which through my spy work, also sorry everyone I spied on, but through my spy work discovered that was on their sites as well. We retain control of that, but we also do not retreat them there. That way we're both sort of keeping an eye on each other so we can start to build trust again. Because it was never about the it was really only ever about the one dude and all of this crap happening. We had been allies with HK in the past. We'd always been friends, and I'd like to get back to that because I'm tired of freaking shooting at people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was the other funny thing about this was that, there is a history that was kind of forgotten because the history was from before when Lark and I were in the squadron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when we were talking about the treaty or becoming a new treaty, he was like, well, we had an agreement and and I'm like, well, I never saw this. So at the same time I was messaging our leadership, he went back and was trying to check like notes from years ago, and it came back. No one wrote anything down and everyone forgot what it was.
Well, it was basically this, just from memory, it was basically no problem. We never had any problem.
Yeah.
Except for with the one unstable personality individual.
So we got back to peace. Everybody's cool. I'm to the part where I just want to move forward and start having fun because that's what we're about.
Yeah. So it's done. Everything's back to normal. The fear is, of course, that the one individual will continue the pattern. And a few months from now, we'll barrel on through, be all enraged again, totally having forgotten about everything that happened before. Because if they don't manage their system, then it'll probably change and we'll probably get bumped up into control again. It's what keeps happening.
Well, if it does, at least everybody involved has history now.
Yeah, okay. But they had it before. This is what bothers me, right? This is the fourth time that system has been bumped into our control and the fourth time he's gotten mad about it.
Right.
And every single time we've explained the whole time, and this one got out of control because, whatever. I think the guy's pretty immune to information to begin with, but, to ask what's going on, why are you in control of the system? Okay, bud, the answer is the same as it was the last 3 times. Because you left the system and didn't maintain it, we haven't touched it. Nothing happens. So it falls into our control. You forget it. Okay, so that's the thing. I hope it doesn't happen again. It's kind of on them. But I fully expect that it's going to happen again. So whatever. So here's the thing I want to say about this. Years ago, we at Loose Screws were a podcast, okay? And then a big Discord community kind of sprung up around it, and pretty soon people started talking about wanting to have this in-game faction. And none of us who were doing the podcast, were kind of creating the podcast, wanted to manage that because that wasn't our game. But we talk around and some people step up and, if you start it, I'll manage it. Okay, great. So here are the express things here. We are not competing with other players. That's not our goal. In fact, quite the opposite. We basically wanted to say, we're a community around a podcast. We're not around a certain activity such as combat or trading or anything. Our faction is not going to do any one thing. And we want anyone who listens to the podcast and doesn't otherwise have another faction that they participate in to have some place that they can choose to join and call home. That's the only thing it's for. And we expressly don't want to interfere with what anybody else in the game wants to do. And that is said without disrespect to people who do compete with other factions, because that I can see as being very fun. Like the mercenaries, for example, that were hired against us in this thing. In another life where I wasn't running a podcast community, I could see myself having a lot of fun with that. I love combat.
Oh, frick. I went between a bunch of their streams. They were having a blast, man.
Yeah. But that's not what I do because I'm doing this and I find those to be incongruous. That's just my opinion. And that's not what this community is about. I guess if I wanted to, I could do the podcast and then go join one of these other things as another activity. But anyway, so that's not what we do. And in fact, the whole time this faction has existed in the game, the people running it have worked very tirelessly to make sure that that's maintained. And we have 100% of the time never had any conflicts with anyone who talked to us about what they want. Full stop. No exceptions. We have had conflicts with people, and every single time it was because either they talked to us and declared that what they wanted was a fight, which happened a couple of times and was a little bit funny. One of them, then they got mad about the result, which is too bad. But they wanted conflict. They're like, we think conflict is fun, and they just told us outright. I'm like, well, at least you're honest. Other times it has been like we've talked about recently, this over the last calendar year or so, where these people are just, again, what they want is a fight, but they lie about that being what they want, and they say it's different. They say it's whatever. In this last case, lying about us taking their system when we absolutely did not. It just happened that way, and they didn't pay attention, and paint us as aggressors. We have never been that. That is expressly not what we are going for, and it is expressly what we try to avoid. And that's going to continue. That's not going to change. As long as the faction exists, that's what it's for. It is just for creating missions with our name on it that people who want to be part of this community can partake in and have fun with. And every single time we bump into other factions, we talk to them, we negotiate what we want, and something works out for all of us, because we don't need some particular set of systems to have fun. Systems that are available, you guys do a great job of working out, oh, this would be fun if we did this, and then we would own that and all this stuff, but we don't have conflicts with people about it. All those things get worked out. And the only times that conflicts have ever happened that were consensual, when somebody decided they wanted to have a fight with us, and so that's what they got to a certain extent. But mostly we don't participate in those things. So it's only when somebody decides to be an asshole and just attack us for no reason, like the last dust up that was culminated over a year, where they're hopping factions, and so clearly they don't care about a particular faction or a particular system. They're just trying to hurt us. So we don't take away somebody's ball. That's not what we do. You do whatever you want to do in Elite. You have fun being a mercenary if that's what you want. We don't do that. And so targeting us with that sort of attitude, we're just going to fight loose screws just to piss them off, is really saddening. And it's made a lot of people around here, I mean, whatever. So if you're a bully and that was your goal, then I guess fucking congratulations. You made a lot of people sad. So I guess I think that's pretty psychopathic to get fun out of that. This is different than anything else that I've seen out there around Elite Dangerous. Non-consensual PvP, a lot of people have a problem with. I don't necessarily have that much of a problem with it. It's got nothing on this. This is like a concerted months and months and months long effort to make people who work hard to have fun without hurting other people, specifically to target those people and try to make them sad and make them have a bad time. That is so much worse than the sort of seal clubbing shit that we talk about gankers doing in Decia.
Word.
It is on another fucking level. And that's why I don't tolerate the harassment, and I have to ban certain people like the individual we were talking about earlier. And huge problems like this come out of nowhere. And it ruins things for people. I think, I don't think they're ashamed of themselves, because frankly, I think they're assholes at heart. It's the only thing that matches all the facts in my mind. And it's really upsetting. It's why I wanted to kind of tag this to the front, because I need to just get this out. This is what Loose Screws does. We don't take anybody's ball. If you hear that we did or we are, you're being lied to. And you're probably being lied to by this guy, frankly, because it's amazing how far this went and how quickly. And I don't blame any of the people who came to jump on us in that system, because they had no idea, and how could they have any idea about the drama that's going on? They also don't care. Some high-profile individuals, I talked to some of them personally, and I know they don't care, and I apologized but frankly, like, the thing I was talking to them about, they thought I was talking to them about a BGS war that they were murking in. I'm not. I'm talking to them about 1 or 2 or 3 assholes who have been lying about essentially me and my community and the people who work hard for that community, BGS, painting us like we're trying to be mean to somebody. very much the opposite of what we stand for. And there's nothing else I can do but ban them. I only control this Discord from an administrative perspective. So like, there's nothing else I can do except say this. I don't expect that they're listening. Maybe some people that were involved are listening somehow. I don't know how many people this reaches. Once again,
tens.
It reaches a few hundred each week. So like, whatever. I don't know how much overlap there's going to be. It's this show, it's funny. Like there's like 3 podcasts about Elite Dangerous, 4 sort of in the whole world.
Right.
But like, individual streamers end up having more views. So that's just what people consume around Elite more often, So I don't know.
We're the top 5, so we don't suck.
Top 5.
I don't know. I hope some of this reaches around and gets kind of absorbed. And just on that again, I'm not complaining about any of the people who took part in that, because I get that like the mercenary combat is fun. And if we were the sort of faction that were competing with other factions, I would be all in on that. I think that's fun. I'm not saying somebody beat me at my video game, wah. That's not what's going on. We don't care about that conflict and we let it go, right? So just, cards on the table, that's it. That's it. And if you ever hear again that Loose Screws is fighting with somebody, you're being lied to. That's
And if you have any questions, join our freaking Discord. Talk to us. It's what we're good at.
Yeah. 100% of people who talk to us get what they want.
Yeah.
It's just never not happened.
And honestly, I mean, I know that, and I'm just going to be the devil's avocado here, and probably I've got, some amount of Stockholm syndrome or something probably, but, but, I mean, my hope of hopes is that, both of these conflicts are in our rearview mirrors. I've talked to the folks on the other side of the first conflict, and I mean, I've tried very hard to be in a situation where I'm good with them, they're good with me, and my hope is that we can move past this. I know it was a year-long slog. It was an emotionally draining year-long slog for me, because it was like, I'm trying to hold all this shit together, as one of the folks that tries to organize the BGS, but at the end, I mean, like everyone else, I just honestly want to have fun. I like building. I mean, that's the part of this game that I like the most, is building something. And, I work very hard to do it in a way that gives options for people to do different activities within the game for the people who like to do BGS, and also do everything in my effort to not not mess someone else's area up.
Yeah.
But, I need to know what's going on to do that. So
it sounds,
like I said, I'm trying to. My hope is that with our rivals in the recent past, that we can all be past this. And it hurts and it rubs raw, and it hurts. It does. But my hope is that to some degree we can move past this. And I think it's really important for all the things that you've said, Tract, because you really clearly understand what our mission statement is, because you created it. You and the other OG squadron leaders really commit. I mean, you've kind of led that. So.
Mm-hmm. And before anybody thinks that this is sort of a disingenuous statement, because we don't always just roll over on everything. Like I mean it, and it's 100% true. If you talk to us, if some faction talks to us about what they want, we have 100% of the time had a good resolution. In fact, even one of those who decided what they wanted was to fight, they got their wish, But the thing is, like, within a matter of reasonability, right? Because that doesn't mean if you are a faction and you come to us and say, "Hey, we want this system," just throw a dart, or like, who knows? Maybe you think you have a good reason for it. Like, that doesn't mean we just give everything away the moment somebody asks for it. It's different than that. There's a nuance here that I hope isn't difficult to understand, but like, it's disrespectful, obviously, to come to our BGS, people that have been working at this for years, putting some things together, not taking other people's ball, to show up and be like, hey, we want that.
There's
we'll
a
talk to
from
people.
Star Trek that I think applies here regarding diplomacy. Having good diplomacy is when you can come to an agreement and nobody's happy.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess it's just, I don't want to, it comes to my mind that I don't want to leave somebody like the impression that I think if anybody just knocks on our door and says, oh, we want this system that you've worked hard to own or whatever, I mean, talk to us, but like, what I'm talking about is like when we have neighbors, we work together with our neighbors to work out what's good for each other to own, and we don't quibble about that. It doesn't mean that if our neighbors suddenly said, hey, we want to take over 4 of your systems, we're just going to be like, okay, fine. That's not what it is, and that's disrespectful to the work that the BGS people have put in on this end. So there's a required amount of reasonability here, but within that, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
We're like Starfleet. We like to be diplomatic.
We just like people to be able to run missions when they want to. That's literally the thing, And that means it's disrespectful to the work and effort that those people put in over months and years if we, work on creating things and stabilizing our systems. That's why we don't feel like just giving them away for no reason. But somebody pops up, hey, this is our home system, who care? I don't care. Like somebody like the ADI crap, if they pop up and said, hey, we're coming back to the game and we wanted this system, if they said what their intention was, at the beginning, but they didn't, right? They pop up in the middle of our space or whatever, hey, I'm coming back to the game, this was our thing, or who cares if it's an adopted faction or not? I want to do this. Talk to us politely about it. Make a case, we'll work something out with you. But that's not what they did, because I believe fully that what they actually wanted was the drama of it, which is why they fought with us for months and months before finally saying, oh, we are the people who have been fighting with you. And that's extremely disrespectful. And it's just evidence, and all the evidence since then, it also backs us up that all they ever wanted was to fight and to cause drama. So I don't have any respect for that. I have respect for pretty much everything else, any other profession you want to be in this game. And when dealing with us, talk to us. If you want to do PvP, there are plenty of factions who do that and compete with each other out there. For God's sake, the bubble is huge. Like, it's so big they had
to anyone in PvP.
It's so big they had to stop putting factions in, right? It's just, there's somebody out there that's going to do that gameplay. Like, don't target us with that shit. Okay, this has gone way longer than I'd hoped, but that was a false hope from the beginning, because obviously I had to say all this shit. All right, so time for a reset. Audaxius, we haven't seen you in a while. What's been going on? This is a regular podcast episode from this moment. What's up, dude?
Let me tell you what's up with me. I'm going to summarize my life right now. There's a very popular GIF on the internet from the show Community where Donald Glover enters an apartment holding pizza. He's ready for a party. He's ready for a good time.
The Timelines episode.
And everything is on fire. And everything is chaos. That is me.
You missed the whole thing and just showed up with pizza.
I was completely out of reach, incognito for weeks on vacation. And it was marvelous. And I came back to this.
Where'd you go?
Long trip to Central Oregon and then all the way down the coast of California. It was to die for.
Cool.
It was wonderful. It was such a cool reset. Camping with my family and my little girls. Wonderful. Felt so weird to be out of touch for so long, but we were legit out of reception for a good portion of the time. Mm-hmm. And 2 weeks was plenty enough. I got ready to come back, came back in, and I was like, what the hell? 3,000 unread posts. Oh, oh my God. What happened when I was gone?
Wow.
But hey,
it was you all
funny.
Along.
Yeah, and it was how convenient the timing, huh? You know, I feel that I would have had very little to contribute. I'm not the best PvPer. I'm also not necessarily good at diplomacy. So maybe better for all of us that I was out of commission for the time being. And now I've come back conveniently in time that it's all done. So bada bing, bada boom. But I am excited to be back. Still, bring out the sad violin music. Still banned on Twitch. Have to watch the Frontier streams on YouTube like some barbarian. And it is my fault. It is totally my fault, and I have half a mind to create some vain campaign to get me unbanned. I don't think it's going to happen. So I
wouldn't attempt that if I were
wouldn't
you.
attempt it, and I just look forward to all the stream updates from you guys. So thank you for keeping me in the loop in my self-imposed exile.
Twitch drops for Daxi. Twitch drops for Daxi.
Oh,
Yeah, everybody load up your
those
Twitch.
days are gone.
Load up your Twitch drop paint whenever Audacious comes
I am
around,
in
so
the
you can just wave it
saddest-
in his face.
Yep, I am in the saddest community of active, enthusiastic fan of a thing who has been banned from that thing.
You should make a new Twitch account that has the username Audacious is sorry.
Oh, sorry guys, I make it up to you. Yeah,
You got to be careful though. Like from an administration perspective, that would count as circumventing a ban.
oh yeah,
Right.
No, it's legit. I mean, what am I going to do? Be like, well, come on, guys, I didn't explicitly break the terms of the chat, even though it was a joke, right? Like, come on, like they care about that. So yeah. I'm a fan from a distance now. I'm like the guy who got banned from baseball, so he rented a lift outside the stadium so he could lift himself above the wall to keep watching. That's me now.
You're the guy screaming, it's just a prank, while the person you pranked is beating the
Yeah,
crap out
it's
of
the
you.
standard a-hole tactic of you do something dumb, and then when you get caught, you're like, it was just a prank, bro. Yeah. So
Awful.
I'm still yeah.
Oh, we love you, Daxy. We're glad you're back.
So, bada bang, here I am. I'm back. Glad to be back.
All right,
Yeah.
sweet. Bloomingwind. That brings you up.
Brings me up. So I've had a fun week this week. I've been the CCU attending, and July is new intern season. So I get to haze all the new interns, which is a lot of fun.
Doctors.
Yeah, baby doctors. And so I get to kind of put them on the spot and grill them and stuff like that. And fortunately they're good sports about it. There was one upper level resident who was like transitioning off as I was coming on, and there's just certain things that you're kind of taught when you're learning about like how to read clinical papers, research trials, and things like that. And that one of them is that you should never make inferences from one clinical trial to another. Like, you shouldn't be trying to compare apples and oranges and make conclusions. So, for example, there are these blood thinners. One is called Eliquis, one is called Pradaxa. Both of them got their FDA approval being compared against warfarin or Coumadin, which is the old school blood thinner. Anyway, so I was making some comparisons between these two different drugs, partly based on having used them for a very long time, and partly using two clinical trials that were identical, except one had Eliquis in it and one had Pradaxa. And this resident's eyes opened wide open, and I'm like, you are not going to tell the chief resident that I'm committing a war crime right now. Okay. And it's just looking at me, and I'm like, oh, let me guess, you're OIG, right? You're part of the Office of Inspector General. I'm gonna get fired today, aren't I? And it was like absolutely probably like the funniest thing. And then on was it Tuesday? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, when all this shit was going down with LTT 1702, I get a call from the police at my workplace, and so they're like, hey, someone hit your car in the parking lot.
Oh no.
And so like, we're in this completely bizarre, weird situation in the game that I'm like hearing about between procedures and hearing about between, like everything else, waiting for elevators and shit. And it's like my car got hit. This is like the worst day ever. And so I go.
So
and I
that's
look
why
at it.
you were like, hey, Lark, do it.
Yeah, I was basically just do it. I got procedures to do. I got a car to deal with the cops and all that. And so the campus police were like, hey, someone was kind of rolling in through the gate pretty fast, and they couldn't stop, and they just ended up hitting your car. The damage is not that bad; it's fine, but I need to get it repaired. And I was like, okay, do you have their insurance? Do you have this? Do you have that? They're like, you're gonna get a police report from us, and your insurance company will deal with their company, and I'm not gonna tell you who did it. And I'm like, why are you not gonna tell me who did it? And they're like, because you might retaliate. I'm like, I'm not gonna retaliate. I took it. Like what? I'm like, oh, I'm doing your procedure. You're the guy who just rear-ended my car. Like, like, no, that's not how that works.
I'll give him medicine that gives him high cholesterol.
Exactly. Here's my cholesterol raising medicine because you hit my car.
Eat this lard.
Yeah, so I get this thing fixed.
Why is my pill all greasy?
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to, and then just in game like stuff like everybody else. A little BGS here. I'm mining at the present time because I just needed to get out of the bubble. So that's me.
All right, Lark, how are you, man?
I can feel my brain getting smoother by the minute. And that's how Lark is doing.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's a good thing.
Oh, it's
all right.
Both.
Oh, frick. Oh, just between everything that's been going on this week, negotiating the treaty, everything that's been going on at work, everything that's going on, I'm exhausted, man. Like straight up. So I'm just doing easy mission running election missions in my ASP Scout just to prove that I fly the ASP Scout because I like it. And we're having a good time over here, man. I'm just tired. I'm waiting for the weekend.
Cool.
Though, with Bloomingwind's car getting hit, I was reminded of something I actually witnessed when I was going to college many, many moons ago. So I went to Boise State, and at that school, by the stadium, between where the stadium and the buildings are, there's like a parking lot, bunch of grass, and a little curved road that everybody parks on because it's close to the buildings the classes are in, right? Well, as I was walking back to my car, which was on the opposite arse end of campus, because that's where the spots that I could use were, there's this semi-truck with a flatbed that pulls into that curved road where all the cars are parked on both sides of the street. Okay. And the curve was just tight enough that as he's going down the street, even taking up both lanes, because they're small lanes, because the road's been there forever, so it's a teeny tiny road. His flatbed curves a little too far inward and hits one car and another and another and another. And this poor dude had hit like 14 cars before he realized it, because I mean, it's a freaking semi truck. Cars weigh 2,000 pounds. He ain't gonna notice that weight difference.
God.
Wow.
But yeah, Bloomingwind's story reminded me of that. And it made me giggle in my head, because it was just such a weird thing to watch this truck just destroying everyone's cars going down the road.
Holy cow.
It's only funny because it didn't happen to me, though. So,
Yeah.
But that was more than 20 years ago at this point. So I think I can laugh about it.
Pure Schadenfreude.
I'm going to get in a wreck tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, you got it
Let's
coming.
hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's what's going on in Larkland. How about you, Trax?
Oh, yeah. So I've not been playing Elite. I really just have been another VR game that I'm super into. Their sequel just hit early access, and I've been having a very, very fun time playing in, what is a very early and very buggy release.
I will just say what the game is.
Star Citizen.
Oh, it's Into the Radius. I think
nice.
I talked
You've
about
mentioned
probably
this
that
before. Yeah, you
that
mentioned
game
that
before, but yeah, so their sequel went into early access. I've been so excited. It's even in early access, it's so much fun to play with very limited content and lots of bugs.
Nice.
Is it like a
is it-
different branch of the tree?
No, it's
the
funny
one that's
how
really good. Oh.
it's funny how different I can feel about Elite being in like an alpha and then this being an early release. And I was like, 4 minutes after getting the email, I was like, take my money, people. You know what I mean?
Is it into the circumference?
Well, everybody was like, missed opportunity, right? Why isn't it called Into the Diameter?
Yeah.
But anyway, no, it's really fun. It's a VR game. It's like kind of a horror. I don't know.
So,
it's almost extraction shooter like, but not really. A little bit roguelite. It's
how do you give a game that you care less about a pass that Elite did not get with Odyssey? How do you do that?
It's just so different. It's just so different to be there and be like, this is pretty buggy, but we're working on it, and they're gonna, updates are gonna come out over the course of months or however long it takes to get out of early access. There's no like, and 2 weeks from now it's gonna go online, and then a week after that, or go offline, and then a week after that we're gonna release the real version, and then it turns out to be the same version.
So what
none
you're
of that
saying
shit's
is-
going on.
So what you're saying is expectations can change a community's reception of a product.
Yeah.
So
almost.
if they had just fessed up to the state Odyssey was in, it might have gone better.
Somewhere
just-
FDevs just cut off the podcast.
It's public testing, and it's not really paid public testing in the sense because I bought the game.
So you paid
You know
for
what I
it.
mean? And I paid for it,
So
but
it's
I
paid
didn't
public
pay.
testing.
I didn't pay anything extra to be participating. I paid for the game earlier than if I could have paid for it later and just played the final version. I think I'm having fun with it, so all's well. And I love the game that much, and it's fine. They could, if it was garbage and I hated it, I would still feel okay about the money I owed them for the first game. So
You sound like me with Star Citizen.
okay, that's fine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is the third game going to be Into Pie?
Anyway, here's a thing that happened to me. Here's the thing that happened to me that I can
Yes.
talk about.
Do it.
Yesterday, this is not a super happy story. Okay. Yesterday, I go for a run and I bring my younger dog. My older dog is too old to run with me anymore. But we're going out for a run. I bring my younger dog, and I step out the door with her, and I can see down the street that one of our neighbors, who is an elderly couple, they have this young dog that they have often. I think it's actually it's actually like one of their children's dog, but they look after it quite a lot. And this is a very reactive dog. It barks and flails about when it sees another dog and things like that. Like, I know this because it's, we've seen each other on walks. It's been an issue. But I'm like, okay, this is like the time I have in the middle of my day to do my, to do my run. And so, okay, let's cross the street. I'm going to go around them on the other side of the street, and then I'll cross over, and then, because they're like right on my usual path. So we cross the street, we go, and sure enough, the dog starts reacting, and my dog notices, and she's getting upset, and then this dog pulls out of her collar.
Oh no.
And runs across the street, and I'm like, okay, so I'm pretty into and up with dog training and dog behavior. It's not my job or anything, but like I've paid attention quite a lot to it, and I know for one thing, like, reactive dogs like this is always fear and insecurity that causes this, and counterintuitively to most people, it is usually dogs that don't have enough structure, and from that lack of structure are not learning how to please people, how to do what they want. They want to please people, how to make the people that they live with happy. They don't really know how, and that uncertainty makes them afraid of a lot of things, and often also leads them to think that they have to like sort of defend their house and defend their people from things,
Like
because
my
they
Pomeranian.
because they think that everything's a threat. And so it's anyway, there's a lot of compounding factors, but that's always what it is. When a dog appears to be aggressive, it is fear and insecurity that has caused that over time, right? And there's relatively easy ways to get around it, but it takes time. And anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. We've had interactions with dogs, and sometimes they bark and they run right up, and then they're happy as can be when they get there. So I don't know what's going to happen, right? But like, I'm alerted, and this dog runs across the road and comes in, and she's barking, and sure enough, she just bites down on my dog around the shoulder and neck, and I kicked the shit out of that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a blur because I feel like, I've not like been in a fight or anything, but when I hear people talk about if they've been in a fight, you don't really remember everything that's happening. I don't really know. I don't think I really heard it. She got back up, but she was pretty stunned and stopped essentially. She was still kind of barking, but stopped attacking us at least. And my dog wasn't hurt. It's hard to know, I saw teeth go on my dog. What am I supposed to do? And there's no time to think about it. So yeah,
I've literally had this happen to me, man. Literally, and I had to kick the dog too, and I don't feel bad about it anymore.
Right, I feel bad for the dog, because I truly believe it's not their fault. And I'm not saying that it's like my neighbor's fault either, although like these things can be dealt with. If this is something about your dog, we've known this dog for a couple of years now since they've been looking after it. It's like this really should have been taken care of. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And the situation was basically over after that. She was able to get the collar back on her and we moved on. Yeah. But I don't know. I've thought about, you see things and wonder like what would happen if this dog kind of attacked us, this dog who seems aggressive attacked us. I don't know what I would do. Well, apparently that's what I would do.
Anyway, so you go into defense mode to defend your family.
That's shitty.
I had to do the same thing with my last dog. I get it.
Yeah. So I think everybody's okay. There's no punctures or anything. I checked my dog over and she seems fine. She doesn't even seem to think about it anymore. So anyway, exciting business.
Quick anecdote about dogs. The disclaimer here is I spent a lot of my working life on some Native American reservations. There are very few places in the country that have actually feral dogs, like where a population has lived in a pack setting for multiple generations, and they act like dogs do. And the amazing thing is about basically feral dogs is they do not fight. They have an absolutely rigid hierarchy where one dog is the top dog, but the amount of displays of aggression and submission they have is stunning to see in practice because they do not need to fight because they have a social hierarchy. That level of like dog violence is this ironic vestige of how we live with dogs nowadays in our culture. They don't do it on their own.
It's like I'm saying. It's structure, and it's not the same for people, right? This isn't like the Caesar Milan bullshit, like dominate your dog. That's not what's going on, and that's not real. You know?
So, and the weird thing is, like in that hierarchy, when there is that top dog, when other dogs start to fight, that dog stops it. Because that level of fighting, it just isn't good for the pack. So yeah, it's a weird consequence of how we kind of how we live with dogs nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep.
Funny.
Yep.
Okay. I'm at the bottom of the list. Okay. Wonderful. So what is this? We're 50 minutes into the recording. We're going to start talking about Elite. No. Technically, we were talking about Elite at the beginning, weren't we? We just
28 minutes.
Yeah. So okay, let's get right into it because there's a lot here, but I know we can whip through it because it's basically just like announcements and news. First of all, Thargoid War update. Thor currently controls 35 systems. Systems are falling as expected, and the whole Counter-Strike systems with pop-up bases to fight in thing is working a charm. And that's been very good. I think there was some goings on in here one night. I didn't get around to participate, but something to that effect happened. The interesting thing. Okay, awesome. Yeah. The interesting thing today, I was just looking at. I need to get out of that mode and look at the gal map. So I was parked. I was parked in a system around Thor a couple of weeks ago. And now seeing how much the bubble has shrunk from beneath me. But yeah, right there in front of me, there's two systems, two Counter-Strike control systems with bases in them. They have all the icons, so those are there ready to be fought, and actually within one jump of me still. How nice. The interesting thing that went off today was there was this Galnet News article drawing the players' attention to some interesting energy readings, and basically two of the Spire sites have reactivated, and then they noticed that Thargoids have retreated from some unpopulated systems. So maybe redistributing resources, and then the Galnet article talks about possibly they are able to find some way to purge like the toxins that we've used to shut down the Spire sites.
I suppose if you put enough ammonia in something, eventually the ammonia is going to burn away whatever the other thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 Spire sites have become active again around Thor, which is interesting because those are effective ways to create this fabled spread pushback, of course, because action against those affects the 10 closest systems to them up to 85% and so on. So for Thor will continue to follow, and there's plenty of good fighting to do there.
And I think people like doing some of the Spire site stuff. So I think, I mean, the non-lore thing is, I think they're trying to keep engagement in the war going and try to make it the things that people like to do.
I really like the Spire sites. They're fun.
So.
Yeah, it's another multi-activity place too, because you can do things other than combat, and it's another spectacular set piece.
Yeah, and it's one of the ones where you can actually do Odyssey shit too.
Right.
It's like it's a combined. You have to do a little flying. You have to do a little Odyssey. So I mean, I think that is also nicely is something that they were always talking about the theater. Like, what is it? The combined theater.
The Sphere.
The Sphere. Yeah, and it's like the one time that they've Sphere of combated, and hopefully they can Sphere of combat with PowerPoint 2.0 in the future. But
and those Counter-Strike systems are about to get a lot more juicy with the material rewards. How about that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Next up.
Yeah.
Any more on Thargoid War before
juicy?
No, just the big shout out to Borked for actually organizing a go kill some bugs. He did it to build up the bank of Bork in the event that we did need to hire mercenaries, which fortunately we never did. But
good.
Hopefully he can go back to buying fleet carriers for new members of the squadron.
Fleet carriers for non-mercenaries.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. So then yesterday we had the FU for July. And that included a bunch of, whatever. I don't have to talk about the stream. The last 10 or 15 minutes of which was based on Elite, and there was lots of information that they crammed into it. So,
hold on. There was one major announcement before Elite, and I know a lot of people that like this game as well, but Planet Coaster 2 has been officially announced and is coming.
Okay.
I am, for one, I'm really excited about that.
No, great.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So says the Asp Scout.
Hey, as I said, I've been playing a totally different game for the last week. No disrespect to people playing other games. It's just not what I talk about here. And anyway.
Into the Planet Coaster.
Yeah, great. So it's a Frontier stream. I don't have any problem with their stream format. There was Elite news. So the major topics on discussion, the engineering rework was discussed, and we have some charts. The next update, the update formats, they're now going to have names, everybody. The next one's going to be called the Type 8 update.
It's been 2 years. We do not need to base them off of Odyssey.
Okay, I can't wait for 1 week from today when the thing pushes and I see what the version number changed to, because guess what I'm not going to go calling things? Something other than a version number.
Oh, get out of here. It's so
I don't care.
It's so sterile. It's so like blech.
No, I don't care. And I get it. The reason being that it's hard to talk about, and it's hard to look back and say, what update was that? Wait, was 16 the one with this feature? So they just mentioned sort of the major feature. That's totally fine. Guess what, guys? It still has a version number. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't have a problem with it. The Elite partners got the updated preview server thing, and that was started just minutes after the stream. So they've had it all of the end of yesterday and all of today. So they've been lots of people have been showing off the Type 8 on stream and the engineering rework on stream.
I think that was glossed over a little bit. The fact that a bunch of the Elite partners were let onto the test server, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
But that's the same as the Python 2,
What, did
This
they
is
get
the
out with
second time
Python
that.
too?
Mhm.
Yeah, they got it a week early. Same as
Oh,
us.
that's right. I didn't.
Exact same procedure.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
never mind. Carry on. I've completely.
It's fine.
forgot about
No,
that.
it's a good thing. Like, great. That's cool. It's a great way to build hype. It's a great way to show off things, and they need to because they're, they're selling early access for money, which means they need to show you what you're going to be buying, right? It's not like a sight unseen thing. So yeah, it's respectful. It's good.
Yeah, I'm still throwing money at my screen, but I don't have a Type 8 yet.
A week from today. Week
Yeah.
from today.
Oh.
And then the other small bit was, before we get into details, was that there is going to be an extra FU broadcast from Gamescom. Details to follow. Watch their socials. Okay, fantabulous. And I'm going to get off the galaxy map because when I use my scroll wheel, it pans it, even though I'm not on that window.
Why am I looking at the
so-
Andromeda Galaxy?
So the engineering, or no, you know what? I want to talk about Type 8 crap first because I
Okay,
think
yeah.
most of this we already
Type
know.
Type A.
So here's the deal. Does somebody else want to talk? I don't have to always do the talking. I feel like I
talk.
monopolize.
I'll talk for as long as my voice will stand it.
Yeah, Lark, tell us about the Type 8.
So yeah, gladly. So Volt and I are very excited because on the 7th of August, which is next week, early release for ARCs for the T8 comes out, and then it will come out for credits 3 months after that, same as before. The Python Mark II at the same time goes full release and will now be available for credits, which means tracking.
Which means I get it. I've already engineered a bunch of guns that I'm going to put on it.
Nice.
Scoob. Look at who's late to the party, huh?
Yeah, whatever. Who's going to be late to the party when I blow them away with 4 pacifiers?
Right.
The ship was built for my favorite gun, the pacifier, that I basically haven't been able to use.
That's a
Now
lot
the
of
Type
damage.
8 pre-builts will be included with this. There'll be the Type 8 standard, which is probably what I'm going to get and just build it how I see fit from there. There'll also be the Type 8 Stellar Edition, which comes with what I think is a very cool red with blue and white stripes paint job. It also comes A-rated and ready for action. I forget what weapons, if any, it comes with and everything. I don't even have the build in front of me, but it comes pre-built.
I think it's like 12 size ones, right?
No, isn't
that it?
It's six on one side of the cockpit, 6 on the other side of the cockpit, and then don't forget that one up top.
Okay, got it.
But they're kind of in a circle around the body of the ship. Yeah. So they all fire different directions if you use fixed weapons.
It's the rapid fire pulse laser disco show.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, included with this update as well is going to be the passenger mission jumpstart, which is a beluga liner set up for long range luxury blah 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 with the increased range SCO drive, which I think is great, and also the bounty hunter jumpstart, which is going to be a vulture with grade 2 internals and grade 1 engineered weapons, just ready to go right out of the gate. And I think the vulture is a good place to start for bounty hunting. I think that's great.
I mean, I think that vulture's, a good start to go get it engineered. But
absolutely.
I mean, like you can't do anything without like an adequate power plant on that baby.
On top of all of that, not only will additional paints be coming for the Python Mark II, but a new Fang ship kit for the Python Mark II is coming out with it as well, which I think looks fantastic. It literally has like 2 pylons, aka fangs, coming off the nose of the ship. It looks so mean. I love it.
Yeah, you think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic.
And something we glossed over earlier, included with this update, is an engineering.
Yeah. But before we touch on that, I jotted this stuff all into our note sheet. The vulture, I'm not entirely certain. It has some grade 1 and grade 2 engineered things. When I watched the Burr Pitts video on the subject, they had it worded differently than what I wrote down, so I might have that wrong. I think they said it would have grade 1 and grade 2 weapons, so maybe 1 is 1 and 1 is the more engineered for some reason, and then the internals might be grade 1. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. They're in the partner program and they got the pre-release info. I did not. I just wrote it down while they were saying on stream. So anyway,
if there's one thing everyone can count on from this podcast, it's the most smooth brainiest news reporting you've ever heard.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that as much bullshit as we put ourselves through about the Type 8's like hard points and how it was worded, it's like, just, you know what? Don't email me. Whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be.
Type 8's coming out. Don't at me.
This is the brand of the Loose Screws. It's like, welcome to Loose Screws podcast. I'm Commander Daxius, and as far as I know, the game is still there.
All right, yeah. So they Zach came back to besides talking about that stuff, talked about the engineering rework, the long overdue engineering rework, and this
holy crap! Can I talk
this
about
is
this?
massive.
I think knocked it out of the park.
Long overdue.
Massive
Welcome.
changes coming, sweeping changes. For me, they've nailed all my high points. They went further than I expected as far as like smoothing it all.
Oh my god!
But like my must-haves, removing the randomness, and just removing the randomness of ship engineering, and then just generally making materials able to happen in all kinds of different places, including like cross-pollination with raw mats being available for missions, and on foot versus ship, and all this stuff is apparently all going to get all mixed together, as we've been seeing from streamers on the test server. So those were in my opinion, my personal opinion, those were the must-haves, but they went further than that with this.
So I've long said that they should update the trading of mats so it'd be easier to cross-trade higher mats for other mats you need and not feel like you're getting ripped off. And they said they are touching that a little bit, but more importantly, they went the complete other direction with it in making mats much, much, much easier to get.
If you just flood the numbers, then trading starts to not matter nearly
suddenly
as much.
The trade makes sense, right? Exactly.
and with these Counter-Strike systems, the rewards are all grade 4 and 5.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you're going to get ahead of yourself. The issue is like material rewards. Let's just run down the list. Increased mat availability for grade 4 and 5 significantly from all known sources. So when you see those on mission rewards, up to as many as like 24 units from a mission could happen.
They also
in
changed randomly
HGEs,
picking them up too.
HGEs can have up to 30 or 100 units you could pick up from one HGE, up from 6 or 9, and I've seen evidence of that actually happening. Maybe not 100. I saw a high number though.
Here's the fun part: that not only HGEs, but that counts for like your lower level and even higher level raw mats as well. Like if you're just driving along an SRV on a planet surface and find a rock you can shoot and blow it up, instead of 6 to 9, that's going to be 30 to 100 as well.
Well, so those were all one unit to begin with. I think you're thinking of like they said specifically that they're increasing. Well, I don't know if I haven't been watching a lot of streams, so maybe you saw something I didn't see. But as far as the announced feature was, that like things like crashed anacondas with the exploding canisters that you can shoot, there's going to be a ton more exploding canisters.
I've had 20.
Likewise, Jameson's crash site is going to have like a bunch more data nodes installed and so on.
So funny thing about the crashed anacondas, I have 26 or 2,700 hours in this game. I've found a crashed anaconda once.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Well, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You found it.
Really?
Good job, dude. You found it.
They're not. There's not everywhere. There are a few, but they're documented. Like if you wanted one, you'd go look up where it was.
There is one on Mercury. There's one on Mercury and Sol that's a permanent POI.
Yeah, that's the one I found, and I thought it was just a special thing this entire time. That's freaking hilarious.
Oh nope, that's it.
There's not a lot. There's like there's I mean, some are better than others because it depends how the ground lays. But actually, those have all got re-rolled, I'm sure, for Odyssey. I've not been back there since Odyssey even came out.
That's so funny.
Is there one like Cold DC or something like that?
Yeah, that's a particularly famous one because the ground is it's pretty near some things, and the ground was relatively easy to navigate.
I only ever found the one in Seoul, and it was in Horizons. And at the time, I had to land on almost a 45-degree angle to even be able to land to get out and look at it.
Yeah. Well, what's truly astounding about this is what it says about the philosophy of game design, because they haven't changed what we need to put in. They removed the randomness, but it's still like 5 rolls per. No, it's the higher levels are like 5 rolls. But the first change way back in the ancient days was from 1 to 3. And now we have these instances where they have upped the number of things you can find, possibly up to 100, which of any given material would yield 300 of actual, like, the number.
My read of that was
was
different.
That it's
because Zach was saying he said 30 to 100 micro units. So that's like each chunk
each
you
one.
pick up is 3. Yeah. So if he says 30 to 100, that means there's between like 10 and 33 pieces in the instance, which would yield you 100 up to 100 units. Yeah, up to 100 units of the actual material.
It's just, since the inception of engineering, there is potentially like a 100-fold increase. So, like, what was going on when they designed the system as far as your investment of time versus reward?
They let Ebenezer Scrooge design that.
Yeah, it's like,
there was less, there's I know what you're getting at here. I think, just to defend it a little bit, there's a historical context to, like, this wasn't in the game before, and there was also less other content in the game. Like, the game has been getting bigger the whole time we've been playing it, So I've got on the screen, for the video users, I've got the chart about ship engineering. So the way this is laid out, they're basically showing, because the roles are fixed now, meaning, like, and this is how many levels of the engineer you've unlocked. So assuming you've gotten your reputation with the engineer to grade 5, it says it takes, the first roll will get you 20% of the way.
Nice.
The second roll gets you to 25. I see. No, I'm reading it wrong.
Yeah, it's
level
one roll
unlocked. One roll is 20. The next roll is.
No, the way that it works, because I was actually watching Father Bill, so I could get my Twitch drops and also, do my religious obligation as a Catholic. But I was watching him, actually. He got his T8 and he started engineering it. So assuming you're a G5 level reputation, it's one roll for to get level 1 G1 engineering. It's 2 rolls to get level 2 engineering, 3 rolls to get maximum G3 engineering, 4 rolls, and then 5 rolls. So
it's just, you have G5 access.
So if you have G5
level
access,
5 is 5 rolls, and then
it's 5 rolls, and it's always 5 rolls. And you and I were talking about this in the Discord tracks, and I was like saying, that's nice. I mean, I'm going to save half my mats, and then you go, "Oh, contraire, mon frere." I only roll 5 times and I get 90 to 95%. And this is how little you're getting for all those other mats, you idiot.
Yeah. You're spending double mats for like 1% difference.
Yeah, but I like to close the rings. I'm like Shig that way. I got to close those little
I'm with
rings.
Blooming on this one. Sorry, Trax.
Yeah.
So, hey, don't apologize to me. You guys have been throwing away half your G5 mats. No wonder you complained about engineering so much.
Yeah. No, for the record, I've never ever complained about engineering.
I didn't.
But the trading curve was steep. The mats were a little bit unpredictable. So I had to plan ahead quite a bit. There've been a couple times I'm like, I got to go trade for some more fucking tungsten. And because I'm like armoring my ship and I'm all out of tungsten. I hate
freaking tungsten, man, every time.
But I think what this does is that there are people who've not really done engineering, partly because of the effort of just having the mats and doing all those things. Because engineering really forces you to play all aspects of the game in one way, shape, or form. Both to unlock them and then, to get the goodies you need to build the ships that you want to build. But I think that making it a little cheaper, making it a little easier to get the mats. There's a part of me, and everyone's going to hate me on this, that I think they might have been a little too generous. That probably some people have to put a little bit more effort. I know that's not popular, but I'm the kind of person where, like, at work I'm like, y'all have like work hours for residency, like back in my day, blah blah blah. So, but no, but I think it's great overall, and my hope is that I love to mine. I'm mining right now, and I'm hoping some of the mat dropping hits that too.
Oh, we'll extend to that because it does come a little. You do get little bits of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up selenium here while I'm shooting for platinum, and so, but that's the only G4 mat I see, and it's kind of occasional. But if it's a few more G4s, there's a little bit more diversity of the things we can pick up. But I'm so glad they added raws to missions.
I was going to say they're loosening that boundary though with the addition of the raws.
Yeah,
you don't have to do some crystal shard run anime if you don't want to. In theory,
that's great.
I think the missions is a great plus. That's the biggest change I wanted was that just to so that people who like to run missions don't have to go and go out in the black.
Following from that conversation just about like how many rolls grade 5 would take. I hear you about just how far this is going. I tend to think they are pretty calculated about this, and it probably will be fine. The other thing is, like, for me, I'm looking at this and it's pretty much the same number of rolls for the most part, give or take a bad one here and there that I was doing to begin with, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, basically matching the numbers that I'm at the level of, So I think for the most part, it's going to feel the same ship engineering. It's just, you're just going to always have a lot more mats to work with because you're just going to be finding them everywhere, which is exciting and that's what makes that makes gameplay exciting, right? When you see an HGE, it's like, oh shit, drop everything. You know what I mean? Emergent gameplay right there, So I think that all works really well. So then moving on then, EDO, so on foot recipes have gotten a lot less expensive. I don't think I directly have a chart for that. No, I don't. But also the engineer unlocks themselves, which I do have a chart for, got reduced. Several of the on foot engineers had their unlock requirements basically cut in half or more. Some of them cut to a third.
That's great.
Yeah. So
no more schlepping for opinion polls for like 3 months like I did.
Yeah. So Kit Fowler opinion polls required 10. Now that's just 5. And then 5 for these other 3, down from 15 and 8. And then this other one about cat media and classic entertainment or whatever the hell. Who is this? Wellington Beck. 15 total of all these different medias because Wellington apparently likes memes. Yeah. And then so those will be easier. I can't remember which. I have actually unlocked a few of those back when I was doing some of that, so I don't know how much that'll affect me. But then so those materials on foot should be more available as well. And then we've also got, now I'll throw this up, the suit capacities have all been increased by like at least double. And in the case of the Maverick suit, more than double. Although it's different for each suit. So the data capacity hasn't changed for Artemis or Dominator, but the other capacities have doubled. And then for the Maverick suit, everything's increased, and the goods capacity went from 15 to 40, and everything else doubled. So that's pretty big. And yeah, I think you'll be back in the zone of being able to grab everything each time. Which is where you want to be
about this.
Yeah, and their point, I guess, as stated, was that they really wanted you to be able to work with multiple copies of suits. And, obviously the truth of the matter was that it was just so onerous to get a suit all upgraded that you didn't create multiple suits. And so that's as stated, that's their goal. So
yeah, it was a big unnecessary time sink, and now 2 years on they addressed it. So good on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arf said something about he'd love to see people using suits for what they're for. To which in the Twitch chat, I replied, I will use my Artemis suit in high CZs with a rocket launcher like I'm playing Quake if I want to.
That high jump. Yeah.
That's on brand for you.
Yeah.
It has damage reduction.
Another detail that they said was that they think this is close to correct, but they will be watching feedback and possibly adjusting as they go. So
nice.
No, doesn't have to be set in stone, which is the kind of thing that I think a game dev with live service game should be doing. That's the attitude to have. Additionally, on top of all of this, the Thargoid War is not forgotten in the engineering rework, and material rewards will be given for just general participation. And my read of this is basically, whenever a system is retaken, contributors to that, like in any fashion, will be, and this is the one chart that I didn't manage to get my hands on. So somebody can, I don't know if somebody has that, but
Looking.
I don't know if there was a chart for this actually.
I don't
but
think
anyway.
there was. I don't remember seeing one.
Okay. Well, so it's percentile based, which is, the way community goal rewards are done. But basically, grade 4 and 5 mats are going to be handed out just for participating in the Thargoid War at the retake of each system. And the counting is going to start from update day. Now, the way that's going to work is like top 75% can get up to 120, or not up to, they will get 120 mats. It is like a random pairs of the 6 different types of mats will be the sort of, you'll have sort of a smattering of them applied. 120 mats for being in the top 75% of contributors to a particular system. The top 25% get half of that, like 60. And then below the top 25%, so everybody else gets some smaller amount, like 8 or something like that. So notice, and this is why I kind of wish there was a chart. The middle section of that is the one they made big, from the 25th percentile to the 75th percentile. So that's going to be, most people are going to be in that 60 mat zone. Right, most contributors, I should say.
Yeah.
And then the other side of this, which is really well explained by Burr on their video, is any contribution gets you in that below 25% zone. That's 8 units of these grade 4 and 5 materials. So that means basically like bounce around, contribute in some small way to every system.
People like me can still get a reward.
What did I say? Like 35 systems is still owned by Thor.
Frick, I need to get over there.
Go kill one Thargoid in 35 systems over the next however long it takes for them to fall. Pay attention to when they're falling. Contribute to each of those, and you're just going to have this faucet of mats falling in your lap. You don't have to be in that top 50. You don't have to be getting 120 mats for one system. You know what I mean? Like, kill one Thargoid. 8 materials are going to fall in your lap when we finish retaking that system, according to this,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's I think this is something that's going to potentially be, again, applied to Power Play
Yeah.
2.0, because it started with the Titans, where they were doing it with arcs, but they didn't say, hey, let's do this with mats. I think people would still be like going bonkers to be killing these Titans for some
basically
mats.
Basically they are. And the other thing that I neglected to say, but I think this is actually a big deal, they specified contributions do not reset each week. So if I go out and tag those 35 systems and then, tomorrow and leave, when this whole thing falls and Thor is killed, I'm a contributor on every one of those systems. I'm in the below 25% zone, but I'm a contributor on all those systems. It doesn't matter how long it takes for that system to fall.
That's great, because that gets people like me who want to be a filthy casual about the Thargoid War just because that's how I am.
Yeah.
That helps get me involved, and I can still get rewards that I want out of it, still putting in the effort I want to put in. And I think that's great.
Right. Or, and they compound. So that means, you have time to get a large number of systems contributed to, but they also compound. If you stuck with one and just keep going for multiple weeks, you could land yourself in that very high percentage if you're a heavy hitter with regard to Thargoid combat. But it's contributions, right? So that's not, they didn't say it does in shooting Thargoids. It's all of the contributions. It's rescues. It's samples. It's everything.
Dude, look at them respecting our time.
It's killing freaking revenants while I'm looking for mats at a Spire site.
Mm-hmm.
With your giant backpack. Yeah.
Heck yes.
In the Artemis suit.
No, for that I'd use a Maverick or a Dominator. Not even gonna lie. Corrosive, don't fuck around, man.
I mean, I think it's natural for a game. It's not like Elise winding down, but it's getting on in the years, and I think a loosening of those boundaries and those kind of hallways they set players down to engage with all the gameplay. I'm in favor of the loosening of it that they're doing. So it gets 2 thumbs up from me.
Samesies.
Yep.
I like it. Just in time to engineer my Python.
There you go.
Just in time to kick the last few.
Although I
Titans
did
out.
already engineer a bunch of guns, but I had those laying. Actually, those were mostly done. The only thing I had to engineer was 2 more cannons in that size. But anyway, I got a few things to play around with. I don't mind. I play the game in such a way where I don't really have to go map farming for the most part, or I haven't, even in the previous time. But it's also because I did all that ages ago, and I have this huge fleet of modules. So anyway,
Is that what they call the humble brag?
Yes.
You know, the way I play the game, these things just fall in my lap. So, that's just how I roll.
The mats air quote falling into my lap are actually really good for me because I never G5 anything just because I didn't want to go farm the mats. I didn't care enough. And now I can do it.
We had that time in the golden age of AX when those mission rewards were just like gangbusters, and we were pushing for bronze. And we got gold, and we had so many nights of AX combat sharing missions. And just like the inconvenience of that phase was having to go trade down at the mat trader. You're like, oh shoot, I filled up again. Okay, well,
I had to do it every single day, for real.
So and to do that, you had to be committed to AX, and not everyone is that. So it's loosened. It's made that accessible to the wider player base, and good on him.
Yeah. Well, you've got me self-conscious now that I sound like a jerk. Look, I have done mat farming.
Oh.
It was years ago.
I'm just
and I also have like 38 ships that are all like fully built. I've just put in so much time, and I've done my mat farming. So nowadays, it's like when I build a new ship, most of the time I'm grabbing a part here and a part there and find that there's only 3 things I need to engineer anyway.
Yeah.
And I have that, and then between that and the mission rewards and the Thargoid mission rewards and combat rewards and stuff that have been trickling in, just even with the old system, I have managed to keep up with it. So, but I didn't mean for it to be a humble brag.
We're just giving you a hard time.
I think I built up a coffer that kept me going.
I have not engineered anything in a year. I have more than 2 dozen ships fully engineered. I love them. I don't need any more. So I would be a lot more excited if this pertained to me. But again, we're on the podcast, right? The average guy in Elite doesn't have a podcast, hasn't been playing for 6-7 years.
Maybe they do, but maybe no one's listening.
Yeah, it's healthy to keep in mind, like, oh yeah, wow, there's people still engineering stuff. What's that like?
Hey, if you have an Elite podcast but no listeners, get a hold of us.
Yep.
The tens of us will tune in.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
Fives of people.
Dozens. Yeah.
It's still relative to you guys. I mean, I'm still building new ships. I mean,
Good.
I just built. Yeah, no, I built my Python. But yeah, right now I'm getting lean on some of the raw mats, and that's sort of the one where it's like, do I go out to the Spires? But now with
it does
this
become almost
I'm
the most onerous one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It really was to get those G5s, and I mean, I still have some, but it's like I don't think I can armor a power plant. It's like, so I don't think I have enough for that.
Yeah.
There's your problem. You need to overcharge every power plant, like I did for 5 years, and was like, oh, why are my ships all too hot?
Same.
Yeah. It wasn't until this Titan nonsense that, I really understood. I really began to learn about, I mean, I don't totally understand, but how to build a low heat ship or why it even freaking matters.
Oh my God. I've been playing the game for 6 years. I'm flying in Titan space, keep getting blown up, and Trax is like, you realize you can make your power plant underpowered, right? I'm like, what does that mean? I look at my engineering thing, and that little bar that shows you the power and you need what is always twice the size of what I needed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess maybe I should go back and revisit that. Well, who would have thought?
Yeah, if anyone wants a laugh, I put the BGS version of what I'm planning for my Crusader when these engineering changes roll around and I start to get mats again in the outfitting.
You don't want me laughing at you, don't lie.
No, I've already been laughed at. You won't bother me.
All right.
Oh, I know no
So
shame.
we're coming up on an hour and a half here. What do you guys think? Are we good? Have we gotten this all done?
think
Is there
we're
any
good.
points I missed? I think I hit all the
No.
bullet points that I wrote down.
I think
And
every duck's in
everything
a row.
else that I think I could
I think
remember.
the only
so-
thing I haven't said is I want peace for us and all of the factions around us right now, because Power Play 2.0 is on its way to pimp slap all of us.
I'm
We'll
ready
see.
for it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean,
You-
it's either still it's going to be a layer that still doesn't. I don't know how much like we affect power play, but I don't know how much power play in and of itself affects us day to day. So it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see how much like as people are going bonkers trying to, push Grom into young Rui space or
What have
Antal
you.
into whatever. It's
Mhm.
going to be like.
Yeah.
We're going to be in trouble all of a sudden, and then
Well-
someone's going to be like, "Oh, you're now in Antal space. You're incompatible with
Yeah.
us. We're going to take you out." I don't
Right.
know
Yeah,
what
so-
that's going to mean.
Things could get interesting, and the thing
Can't
that
wait.
the thing that interests me more, well, the thing that interests, I should say, I don't know, maybe I'll think it's fun and I'll get into it, but the thing that interests me the most from where I sit is like, will we be able to act without supporting a power? As an independent, can I take actions? And as far as I can see, all the tools that they've told us about, I can see a way where that should work, right? Where I should be able to like take opposing action to a particular power's centers there, even as an independent, and it will be back pressure on them that won't be coming from another power. It'll just be happening to them, right?
Yeah.
So I do want that ability because Loose Screws is an independent, and well, anyway, that'll be interesting. And if it doesn't go that way, then we'll just see what the world's going to be like. But
You're gonna have to join the club, Drax.
I'll do whatever
You're
I have to do. I mean, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to work for LSN, do I? You know what I mean?
I thought we
but-
don't talk about that. Oh, that's Fight Club. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll see what's new.
Yeah,
when that comes around.
The galaxy's gonna get shaken up.
So that's next month, isn't it?
It
Which
is.
means so yeah, if that's coming in September, that means whatever this next the August FU, they'll need to be talking about that at that time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They also have
Alright.
a very special episode coming at GameCon too, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what they tease at the end, extra
Yeah.
FU from Gamescom. That could
One
be
of-
probably more about the games that they're releasing, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be more about Planet Coaster, but I wouldn't be surprised if they sprinkle in Elite stuff as well.
All right,
Okay,
it's fine.
cool. It's good.
Um,
It's pretty good.
are we missing something with what's going on with Buckyball? That race must be done by now, right?
Yep.
Okay,
I don't
that
think any
race
of
is
us looked
done.
to see the score.
I'm shamefully 2 episodes of Lave Radio behind, and that's usually how I hear about Buckyball. So forgive me personally. If anybody wants to say something about it, feel free. Pause for effect.
I'm just looking to see if there was a score posted somewhere. Maybe go to AAA
right.
General.
Well, we won't hear
And-
from the angry keyboard warriors till tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
We'll sleep good tonight.
Yep.
yes, sir.
And tomorrow it's going to blow up. Okay, here we go. Now that's Lucky Bucky. Top Gun.
Actually, it was
Well,
the,
let
it
me
was the
see if
most
it's on
monumental
there.
race of all time.
No, there's.
Is it on their
I don't see
main
the results.
page?
Maybe general. chat.
Upcoming event, the races. What was it called?
Questing on Quixie.
I don't even see that here. I don't think I know how to read their website.
Yeah, I know. Here they are. Here they are. Regulation
you're better
Cobra
than me.
scoreboard. This is looks like Ephesius won the regulation. It might just be he was leading and it's not over yet. And then for the Shay Blackwood wins the open with his Diamond Black Scout, the Black Sparrow, or at least he was winning at the time that this was posted. I'm not sure if this is a final or not, but anyway, congratulations to those guys being in the lead, if not the outright winners. So,
okay.
Yeah. We got to get Indigo back on so he can talk about
I'm
this
looking
stuff.
on their main website, and there's like a bunch of upcoming calendar events that I don't recognize, and I don't see the questing one at all. So like I see upcoming
Yeah, I'm in their Discord.
Wait. These are from last year. Sorry, their website has like upcoming events that are from the calendar year before this.
Only the latest,
okay,
updated
my fault.
information, ladies and gentlemen, on the Loose Screws podcast.
Nobody uses a web browser anymore, Trax.
Their main website, which is apparently real, it says the upcoming event is Breaking Badly, which was run on the 23rd September to the 1st October in 3309.
Smoothieest brains of all.
All right. Well, it's not my fault. I can't find it then.
It also says we've got an update coming. It's going to be called Odyssey. Wow. What's that about?
All right.
That sounds neat.
Oh, can you pre-order that?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta cut this off. Thanks everyone for watching. Please understand what I said about the Loose Screws faction. We mean no one any harm, and if you hear anything to the contrary, you're being lied to, and you should tell that person who lied to you to go crawl into a hole because
they're a big ninny.
They're probably the guy who was harassing us over the last few years. So,
and we're good guys.
Yeah.
All right. At least we claim to be on TV.
Thanks, everybody. We've got a Discord. We've got a Patreon. Do what you got to do. The links are in the show notes. And thanks, everybody, for being with me on this journey. Thanks, Audaxius and Bloomingwind and Lark Shadow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trax.
Our pleasure.
All right. And we'll see you next week. Who knows? It'll be Python Day for me. Maybe I'll be flying instead of being on this podcast. We'll see how I feel.
Sounds like a threat.
Yeah. All right. See y'all next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night, John Boy.
Love you guys.